Hi everyone, my name is Margaret Chen and I'm a senior, and my Strnad project was titled Orchestrating High School. So, for my project, I composed a collection of four short pieces for an orchestra, and each piece is meant to represent a year of my high school career. So, to start my project, I began by generating ideas on the piano, which is one of the main instruments that I play, and then I worked on the orchestration process with Mr. Pritchard, who, for those that don't know, is the orchestra director, and James Wilding, a professional composer in the Akron Cleveland area. So this involved experimenting with nuances in articulation, harmonic patterns, tempos, and different combinations of instruments to work together and create four contrasting sections with specific moods. I also added stylistic details such as tempo changes like musical tardandos and dynamics. And throughout this process, I reflected upon my progress and my work by keeping a hybrid written and audio journal. Not only did this help me organize my thoughts and provide a starting point for the next time I worked on my composition, but it also allowed me to hold myself accountable for places where I struggled. So, my freshman year section was meant to reflect the gloominess and literal isolation of the COVID-19 pandemic. So, to do this, I integrated dissonance, which is the musical clashing of notes, to create a feeling of tension. And the beginning is also characterized by a haunting plucking of strings accompanied by percussion in an E minor key. This movement took me the longest because of the dissonance, which was much different than the typical harmonic progressions of classical music that I was so familiar with. But the hardest part of this process overall was the harmonization because I had to write parts for around 18 to 20 instruments that worked together but weren't exactly the same part either. And this frequently led me to run into prolonged creative blocks. So, contrastingly, my sophomore year section was meant to reflect the fresh beginnings from my transfer to a new school. So, this piece is in a major key and it begins with blocked chords before developing into an upbeat motive. And I will play a section of that motive for you right now. My junior year was meant to reflect the feeling of suspense and tension of a tough academic year and an impending college process. So, this section was jazz inspired, and it was particularly difficult for me because I don't play a wind or a brass instrument. And this also included a lot of syncopated rhythms. So, here is a clip of the main motive. Okay, my senior year was meant to reflect the franticness and stress surrounding the college process, which culminated in relief, reflection, nostalgia at the end of the piece, and then also at the end of my senior year. So the opening is marked by a very fast paced major key melody before it develops into a series of chord progressions meant to simulate college acceptances coming in, and then it slips into a more somber minor melody that includes reflective references to the melodies of freshman through junior year. This was the easiest for me to complete because it was in a major key and also a string focused piece, and also because it was very intuitive for me to write given its recent nature and classical style. I am currently working with the upper school orchestra and Mr. Pritchard to make my piece come to life at the end of year concert in May. Collectively, these pieces have allowed me to reflect and encapsulate my high school experiences, including the parts I was proud of, the parts I struggled with, and the parts where I've grown. I'd like to thank my mentors, my parents, Miss McMillan, and the Strnad family for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for listening.